I remember back in the days where I struggled to understand the hidden meanings and symbols of Dark Souls. Until this very day I find it impossible to answer some of its deepest questions. But nevertheless, I'm going to try to convince you that Elden Ring and Dark Souls have many similarities throughout their games. Now that I have played Elden Ring, I'm looking forward to make connections between the two games and show you that they could possibly share the same universe. One of the major points that we'll be discussing today is the painting girl who had no name and the burning world of Ariandel.
My thanks, Ashen One. With this will I paint a world. Please tell me thy name. I would name this painting after thee. I will assuredly finish the painting of a cold, dark, and very gentle place. One day, it will make someone a goodly hope.
Basically, that painting was a world, and within that world, there was a character called Ariandel, which he wanted to embrace the rot, and he didn't want any flame to destroy their world. Thus, he imprisoned the girl which was responsible for painting that world, and he didn't want her to see flame so that she could paint another world. The girl has no name, thus we call her Arya. The girl immediately recognizes you as the Ashen One, and the one who's going to show her flame. And she references to the same character where you met in the beginning of the DLC. This character is called the Slave Knight Gale. The crucial elements that one needs in order to paint a new world are two things. One, the pigment colored like the dark soul of man. And second is that someone needs to show this little girl flame. Now, this girl Arya expects that the Slave Knight Gale will bring her the pigment of the dark soul. Thus we have to fight Gale in order to retrieve the blood of the dark soul. The girl wants to paint a new world. We don't know what kind of a world she will be painting. Throughout Elden Ring, we see many paintings which I assume is painted by this little girl named Arya. To be honest, I have no further explanations on why exactly the paintings are there in the first place. I believe there are connections to be made between these two games referring these paintings. Mentioning this in the video so we can investigate all together on this even further. The second point I'll be illustrating here for you is the art trees. The references we have in order to explain these trees are in Bloodborne, Dark Souls, and Elden Ring as well. To establish a connection between these three games, they all have the same kind of trees where they support the world. It all started back in Dark Souls 1, where the world was foggy and filled with art trees, the time where everything was grey. And then came fire, and with fire came disparity. The universe was ruled by everlasting dragons. The next place we'll be relating to is the Hunter's Dream in Bloodborne. And towards the ending of the game, when you beat Radagon the Golden Order, you're gonna face the Elden Beast. Now during your fight with Elden Beast, you can see these trees surrounding the arena. Just like the Northern mythology, if these art trees are meant to represent the blocks which hold the worlds together, this might mean that maybe the three games share the same universe. Regarding to the fact that why does these trees even exist to begin with? And now the third point of reference I'll be illustrating to you is the point of dragons. Now in Dark Souls 2, we had a character named Aldia, where he was the first to bring back the dragons after literally thousands of years when the everlasting dragons were destroyed. All of his experiments was due to the reason that he wanted to find the secrets of immortality. He wanted to understand the secrets of immortality through these everlasting dragons. Now a reminder here, these everlasting dragons are immortal, even though Seath the Scaleless revealed their secrets of how they can be killed, but apart from that they are immortal. So Aldia was the first character who actually brought the dragons back to life. He wanted to understand the nature of immortality, and his brother Vendrick had the same purpose, to understand the cycle of light and darkness. And both of them wanted to go beyond the cycle and eventually transcend the cycle in order to prevent the Age of Dark.
Purifier, coveter of the throne. I am Vendrick, ruler of Drang Lake.
Now, even though Aldous succeeded in making one of these ancient dragons, but it wasn't the same to understand their nature of immortality. Therefore, he kind of failed because towards the end of Dark Souls, you actually fight Aldia. And Aldia knows that you have reached the point that he can't beat you anymore. But he fights you anyways, and to be honest, the ending of Dark Souls is kinda ambiguous because once you defeat Aldia, he starts talking to you and you don't know whether he's alive or dead. Now, mentioning Elden Ring. The game is filled with dragons with so little information and data. Basically, we just don't quite understand why the dragons are there in the first place. I mean, there are some information regarding these dragons in Elden Ring, but in my opinion, it's not nearly enough to justify why these dragons are there in the first place. I believe the information you need to justify the dragons are not in Elden Ring, but in Dark Souls, due to the fact that both games are trying to find ways to achieve that immortality. One of the games does it with chemistry, another game like Bloodborne does it with the lore of blood. Elden Ring is kinda ambiguous, but it's surrounding the theories behind the Elden Ring itself. The fourth point where there might be a connection between Dark Souls and Elden Ring is the Abyss. It was basically the beginning of creation where everything was dark. Dark Souls 1, you see the second primordial serpent in the Abyss. He tells you that actually Gwyn is the bad character of the game. Because by committing the first sin, which was lighting the first flame, he has put a wrench in the works of the cycle of light and darkness. Where the age of light must come to an end, and after that, the age of darkness must come. But Gwyn refused this cycle, and he refused to see darkness. Therefore, he lights the first flame, and he maintains the age of light. But of course, he fails, because this is basically the Dark Souls universe. After light, there should be darkness. The dualities maintain themselves. In Dark Souls 2, after thousands of years, you can see Vendrick wants to understand this curse of light and darkness, and he wanted to go beyond this curse. That's why Aldia was experimenting on the dragons in the first place. But mentioning Elden Ring, you have a boss fight in the game where you can actually see an abyss kind of an arena. I know you might be thinking some of these connections might be a bit ambiguous, but I don't see anybody mentioning these points. And the lore behind these games are so sophisticated and complex. In order for me to explain it all, it might take a long time. I'm just here to share the points between these two universes. And the final point is, you might call it kinda dumb, but you know, there we have a name of Godwyn, and we have Gwyn. And I just can't help myself to think that why are their names so similar? I mean, just think about it. The information we have of Godwyn is so low, and we don't have enough evidence to illustrate to you that who he is exactly. We know he's dead, and we know he was the first to die among these gods, using the Blade of Death, but apart from that, we basically don't have that much information regarding him. I believe he'll be a character that we'll see in the DLCs of the game. To summarize all of the points, in Dark Souls 1, we have the Abyss and we have the Everlasting Dragons, where they couldn't die, and after thousands of years, the character named Aldia came and wanted to understand the secrets behind their existence, and why they were the kind that they could transcend the curse of light and darkness. We don't ultimately know that did Aldia succeed or not, because the ending of Dark Souls 2 is kinda ambiguous to tell us that whether he achieved it or not. Maybe there are connections between Aldia, Elden Ring, and dragons, due to the fact that he was the first to birth dragons after the everlasting dragons. Could Elden Ring be just a painting? Or is it another universe supported by an art tree? Could there be any potential suggestions of Aldia in this game? Or all of the above? Let us know what you think in the comment section. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next.